welcome to The Pulse. I'm Jennifer Ray, your host, and today we're at Petco over the holiday season, and we're highlighting Pet Haven of Minnesota, one of many rescue agencies for our lovely companion animals of dogs and cats. And before we meet our little four-legged angels, what I did want to do is go over some statistics as to why Pet Haven and others, including the Humane Society, even need to be in existence. So let's get to those statistics. There are approximately 7.6 million companion animals that enter animal shelters nationwide every year. Of those, approximately 3.9 million are dogs and 3.4 million are cats. Each year, approximately 2.7 million animals are euthanized. 1.2 million of those are dogs and 1.4 million are cats. Approximately 2.7 million shelter animals are adopted each year. 1.4 million are dogs and 1.3 million are cats. That leaves 2.2 million for animal research. About 649,000 animals who enter shelters as strays are returned to their owners. Of those, 542,000 are dogs and only 100,000 are cats. That's why we'll talk about microchip today. Of the cats entering shelters, approximately 37% are adopted, 41% are euthanized, and less than 5% of cats who come in as strays are returned to their owners. About twice as many animals enter shelters as strays compared to the number that are relinquished by their owners. Here are some facts about pet overpopulation in the U.S. It is impossible to determine exactly how many stray dogs and cats live in the United States. Estimates for cats alone range up to 70 million. Only 10% of animals received by shelters have been spayed or neutered, while 83% of pet dogs and 91% of pet cats are spayed or neutered. The cost of spaying or neutering a pet is less than the cost of raising puppies or kittens for a year. That is why we will be talking about the importance of spay and neutering. Now I have the pleasure of introducing to you Kate Mudge, the director of Pet Haven, and Marianne Cameron. Welcome, Kate Mudge. She is our director of Pet Haven, and she is the only paid employee because it is up until 2 years ago.
Just last year, March,
we
yes.
had enough funds to hire an actual director, and Kate is it. So welcome, and thank you for doing all that you do for Pet Haven.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about what Pet Haven's mission is and the purpose of Pet Haven. So if you can speak to that, that would be great.
Absolutely. Well, Pet Haven's been around since 1952, making us the oldest foster-based rescue organization in Minnesota. Our primary mission is to rehome Minnesota's homeless cats and dogs. So we focus on companion animals, and we remove those animals from high-kill shelters, usually in rural areas. We also work with Indian reservations to take the animals into foster homes and then to find them new homes. Another thing that we do that's kind of neat is a spay-neuter initiative, and it differentiates us a little bit because we want to help deal with the problem of pet overpopulation. And so that being the case, we are funding other organizations in rural Minnesota and helping them with their efforts for spaying and neutering cats and dogs.
Well, and that was something that we did at the top of the show, was talk about some of the statistics.
Yeah.
And with 70 million roaming cats without a home, that leaves a lot here in Minnesota, and the Humane Society downtown in Minneapolis can't, take in all of those animals. So therefore it becomes other smaller organizations, Pet Haven being one of them, and one of the things I'm so proud that Pet Haven does is the Spay Neuter Initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really blessed, I think, in the Twin Cities to have a lot of resources, a lot of rescues, shelters that will help with the animals. It's a little different in outstate Minnesota. The shelters fill up and they don't empty out quite as quickly as they do here in the Twin Cities. And so we find by focusing our efforts in those rural areas where people aren't always as quick to spay and neuter, that it really does help with the overpopulation.
And we have the statistic that I didn't talk about here is like if you have one cat and it goes without being spayed or neutered, and it continues to have more cats. And after 11 years, there's like, you know, 500 million cats out there. The math is
Yeah.
really quite incredible.
Yeah, it sure
so
is.
even donating the cost of a spay neuter
Yes.
is amazing what kind of an impact you can have. You don't think that that $150 goes that far, but it
Right.
reaches an awful lot of cats and helps reduce the overpopulation quite a bit.
It does.
Now, one thing that I wanted to talk about, because I know you are big on dogs, is this particular collar. And I see this collar a lot with people doing training, and although I would probably prefer to use a different method myself if I were training a dog, I did just want to talk about the fact that I have actually seen this on people who leave it on their dog when it's not training session. So can you just speak about that for a minute?
Sure. Yep, this is a prong collar, and so the theory behind this is it's a bit of a choke chain. When you give your dog a correction, when you pull on the leash, these prongs will give it a little bit of an extra correction by going into their skin. As you were saying, this is not a collar that should be left on a dog outside of a training session at all. It can be extraordinarily dangerous to leave it on, not to mention very uncomfortable, and it defeats the purpose of training for a dog when it's being left on all the time. So yes, fine if you want to use it as a training collar, take it off after your training session is done.
Thank you, because I know that I've seen people leave this on when their dogs are just running loose, and
Yeah.
and I don't know if they forget to take it off or what, but I can't imagine how uncomfortable that would be if your owner didn't take it off after training session. So thank you for about that.
Sure.
Now, next we're going to be bringing in some dogs that are actually up for adoption, and you're
Yeah.
going to be introducing those. So
Absolutely.
we'll go get our first pet and be back in 1 second. Here's our first animal up for adoption, and this is Jessie. So Kate, can you tell us a little bit about Jessie, who's looking for a new home today?
Yeah, Jessie's pretty new to Pet Haven. I think that Jessie's been with us for a couple weeks, something like that. Came down from Red Lake Reservation, a partner that we work with often to receive our dogs from. And super sweet, obviously.
Yes, and beautiful.
And beautiful, young.
Do we know how old she is?
Around 7 months.
7 months.
About 7 months, we think she is. Okay. So young and
Absolutely.
starting to train.
Yeah.
And this is Caitlin. This is her foster, because all of our fosters do it out of their own home. So they get love, they get food, they get exercise. And for a lot of them, it's the first time that they're learning what a loving, warm, welcoming home is all about. So this is Jess, and we
Yeah,
hope
so
that
a lot of these dogs would be coming down. They might have been outdoor dogs. They might have been running loose. They might have been surrendered by somebody at a clinic. Just so people know, when you adopt from Pet Haven too, all of the dogs, all of the animals, get full vet care prior to adoption. So not only do you know the personality of the dog or cat that you're adopting, because the foster is able to tell you that, but they're also going to be spayed and neutered, getting back to the importance of spaying and neutering. They're going to have their vaccinations. They're going to have a microchip, so in case they run away, they're able to be found. And so they are in good health when they go to their new homes.
Yep. And that's one thing I just wanted to touch on real quick here too, is when we think of a free kitty or a free puppy. And if you have to actually take that dog or cat to the veterinarian, and you have to do shots, first shots, second shots, you
Right.
have to do a spay neuter.
Yep.
In a perfect world, it would be a microchip. And so just in general, a spay, you'll be lucky to find a spay for $250. Microchip is on average of about $85. Vet check is around $100. First shots and second shots are about $75. So that's a total of $510. And versus, I know that it's $130 for the cats. What is it for the dogs to
Our
adopt?
adoption fees vary. For a senior dog, $220. For a dog like Jessie, $320. And then puppies are, are you a puppy? $390.
$390 for a puppy.
Yep.
And part of the reason that they aren't even at lower cost, first of all, we put a lot of time, energy, and money into them, and a lot come that need medical care.
Yes.
But they're whether it be Pet Haven or any organization, they usually do have a nice initial cost in purchasing them, because they want to make sure you can afford to keep the dog, because
Sure.
there are expenses associated with having an animal.
Yes,
So-
they can add up quickly.
Great. So that is Jess, and now we're going to meet our second animal. And next up, we have Rocco, 5-year-old Rocco. Can you tell us a little bit about this little cutie pie, Rocco?
So Rocco is a mix of Pomeranian and Chihuahua called a Pomchi. He is 5 years old. He came from a shelter in Meeker County that was overcrowded, and sometimes we'll pull animals from those shelters and bring them into foster to get them adopted out. He is a little love bug. He likes to cuddle.
I see that.
Yes, he's not too sure about this camera in front of his face. I think he's pretending that it's not there right now. This is Laura. Laura is Rocco's foster.
And how long have you had him as a foster?
Just about a week.
Just about a week. So
Yeah.
he's new to Pet Haven. Okay.
He is.
Super. Well, you're a lucky dog, and I hope that you get a home soon. Thank you, Rocco. Okay, and next up we have Blondie, who's being fostered by Eric. So what can you tell us about this little bundle of joy and energy at this holiday season?
She's a very energetic and then very calm dog. It's odd. She goes from this to just laying right next to you and chill hanging on the couch or just chewing on a bone over on her own little pillow. She's extremely loving. She's love motivated versus food motivated. So whenever she does something good, she'd rather have you pet her.
We can lose the hat, honey. We can lose the hat.
She'd rather
She's
have
not too
you
happy
pet her
about that
than
hat.
give her a treat.
Sure,
I just
sure.
started giving her treats just because she's a great dog.
And she's about a year old. She also came from Red Lake
Oh.
Preservation. Yes, just another real lover.
Oh, such a beauty. Such a beauty.
Give her, that's for sure.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And she just went from wanting to, bound all over to just
Yeah,
being a little
10 to 1.
lover dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
This is what she craves right here.
okay. And so she's looking for a forever
Oh,
home
no.
too.
No.
She is. She's had a couple applications, but as far as right now, she is still looking for a home. Yes?
Yep.
And that
Yeah.
was one thing that I wanted to mention too, or make sure that I mentioned during the time, is that's one of the things I loved about being a foster at Pet Haven, is you get to screen and vet your applicant. So if you know the dog because it's been in your home and you know what they need, and a potential adopter may not have that, then
Right.
you can say, this isn't the right fit for you. So they're actually quite picky about the homes that they.
Yeah, we do require a home visit prior to adoption, and it's nice when people come in and they say they want a calm dog and we like this one, and we might be able to say, well, we can
Maybe not the best fit.
show
Yeah,
some other dogs that
Yeah.
might be better fits.
absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, well that's Blondie. Thanks for visiting, Blondie. And if people want to find out more information about Pet Haven, the website is pethavenmn.org.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
and then they can either adopt a dog, which is of course the most wonderful thing in the whole wide world. We also desperately need fosters, because when people call, they can't take in a dog unless they've got somebody's home to bring them to. Hi, sweetie, you're fine. You can join. And then we also love donations. So any
Yeah.
donation, whether it be $25, $250, $25,000 would barely be great. But it all adds up, and it's all so important because we do provide a lot for these animals.
And we do look for volunteers as well. We love fosters, but some people can't foster. So we use volunteers for all sorts of things, helping to bring animals to events, for instance. We use graphic designers, accountants, people like to do data entry. We're mostly foster or volunteer-based organization, so we rely on volunteers. So if anybody's interested in joining the Pet Haven family, they can go to, pethavenmn.org.
And that's a really great point. I just wanted to touch base on that. That's a really great point. There's a lot of fabulous dog owners that get to a point where maybe they want to, well, two reasons. Number one, they think, oh, it was so sad to lose that dog, and they are a little bit hesitant on getting another one. And I can just tell you from firsthand experience, it might not be the same place in your heart, but it will take a piece of your heart. So always consider that. But if they decide that they want to travel, yes, any kind of expertise that they have can be so well utilized by the
Absolutely.
organization. So thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely.
And now we're going to take a look at some cats. Welcome to the cats that are up for adoption at Pet Haven. However, this little cutie that you're looking at right now already has its forever home with its adoption by its foster, Becky. So she's holding little Henry, and to the left of her we do have Marianne Cameron. She is in charge of the cats and has been for how many years, Marianne?
Oh, since about 1995.
Since 1995. So I did want Marianne to talk a little bit about clipping a cat's nails versus declawing. So Marianne's just going to kind of give us a few pointers on that subject.
Would you like to have your claws clipped, Henry? Huh? Oh, he's already declawed,
No,
isn't he?
no, I clipped
No, he is. They're fairly short. Well, we use a little clippers like this. You can get them in the reptile department or the cat department at your pet stores. You can get, you can use a regular fingernail clipper. On the little kittens, that's what I use. With a little kitten, you're probably going to have to clip claws every week to 10 days. Once they're maybe 3 to 5 months old, you can go to twice a month, and then after that, once a month, 3 to 6 weeks for the adult cats. So there's a claw.
Yeah.
Becky's pushing down on the top of his foot, and that makes the claw stand out, and then we can clip off the white part.
So you want to be careful about that. And some people are afraid to do that. And you can, many veterinarians, maybe not all of them, you can bring them in and they'll actually clip the nails for free if you're nervous about it. So, and then did we want to just touch base on the actual declawing?
Well, if you think you need a declawed cat, there are a lot of declawed cats already out looking for homes. So that's a good way, you know, to find one. If you feel that you really need a declawed cat and you haven't found the right one, you need to talk to your vet about what kind of pain meds that they use, because it is removing the first knuckle of the foot, of the toe, each toe. So it makes a painful surgery for the cats, and they need to have appropriate pain meds.
Yes, they sure do. So in a perfect world, you use a little clipper, saves you a lot of money. This is $6 versus a couple hundred, and having your cat go through quite an ordeal. So hopefully that will work for you. So now we're going to bring our next cat, or first cat, up for adoption, and that is going to be, which kitty are we going to use?
Are we going to look at Johnny?
And this is Johnny. What can you tell us about Johnny, Marianne?
Well, Johnny's about 4 or 5 months old. He's a very calm kitten, but he is a big lover. He has a crazy other friend in his house, Vader, who likes to play like a wild man. And Johnny says, "Oh, just leave me alone. I'm a little more low-key than that." So he's very deliberate and slow-moving. That's what his fosters say. So if you want a young kitten, but not one that's a goofball, Johnny might be a good one.
And what kitten isn't a little goofball? Of course, you know, is there anything cuter than a dog or a cat, and particularly the little kitties and puppies? Well, Johnny, look this way at the camera. Hopefully maybe you'll find your forever home. Thank you, Johnny. Next up, we have the beautiful, handsome little Ace here. Marianne, what can you tell us about Ace?
Well, Ace is a tuxedo, and as you can see by the squirming, he has lots of things to do every day of his life. Exploring and playing. He is also a lover, and he gets along well with another cat. He loves the dog in the house, 2 dogs in the house. One is a puppy, and one is an adult dog. So Ace
gets along with both cats and dogs, which is a big plus.
Yep, he's a well-rounded boy.
So it would make a great family addition. And how old is he?
Again, about 5-6 months.
About
probably.
5-6 months, okay. And he is the tuxedo, which is
Yep.
the black with the white chest.
And the white toes.
And the white toes, like he stepped
And
in
look
paint.
at all that
He's
white
very
on his
cute.
belly.
He's very cute. Okay, Ace, thanks you. Next up, we have Freddie and Frankie. What can you tell us about Freddie and Frankie, Marianne?
Well, Freddie and Frankie came in with their mom. She's all white except for a little smudge of color on her forehead. She has not been well taken care of. Her ear tips are very short because of frostbite, and she has only maybe half of a tail. Super friendly girl, loves to play, loves to be with people. She's just a great girl.
And she's up for adoption, just not here
Yes, she is.
today.
Yep. And these 2 are her kittens that we got. So they have the gray on their head. She has beautiful blue eyes. Theirs, I think, are going to be green. And this little boy has extra toes. I don't know if you can see that
Sure.
on his feet. So
They call that polydactyl?
They call that a polydactyl. Yep. And Freddie says, "I'm plain, but I'm just as valuable."
Well, they are just sweet as can be. And how old are these kittens?
13 weeks.
13 weeks, okay. And then with the kitten, you actually get the spay and neuter, and you get the microchip in them.
They've been
and you
dewormed.
they've been dewormed, and if they've had
Tested.
any kind of medical.
Yeah, tested for feline leukemia and FIV like all of our cats, and they're negative.
And the cost of adopting a cat is,
About $130, sometimes $150.
if there's a special breed. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching today's program, The Pulse. And these are 3 more little kitties that are also up for adoption. And I specifically want to thank Marianne, who has been my godsend and savior over the last 10 years, and also Kate for being part of the Pulse show today. So if you're considering adding an animal to your family, it's a wonderful addition, and I hope you consider rescue and particularly Pet Haven. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Jennifer Ray. Have a great holiday.